All right, welcome everybody. Good evening. My name is Francis Beckwith. I am this year's visiting scholar in conservative thought and policy here at the spectacular and beautiful campus of the Colorado Boulder. I am visiting from Baylor University in Waco, Texas, where I serve as professor of philosophy and church-state studies. This event is sponsored by the Center for Western Civilization Thought and Policy, an academic unit of the University of Colorado that houses the position I am honored to occupy for this year. The mission of the center is to promote critical reflection on the distinctive traditions and political perspectives that characterize Western civilization, as well as fostering research, debate, and dialogue about the fundamental ideals of our time. Its director is philosophy professor Robert Pasnow, who I'm happy to say is with us this evening. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. In the British Studies Room in the Norland Library, Professor Pasnow will be moderating a panel discussion sponsored by the Center, Why Are College Professors Liberal? The panel will not only feature this evening's speaker, but also Joshua Dunn, who is a professor of political science and chair of the science department at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, as well as David S. Brown, who is a professor and chair of political science here at UC or CU Boulder. I've got to get used to saying CU rather than UC. I understand that's a bit touchy being in the Big 12. Before I introduce our speaker, I would like to welcome to campus two of the members of the University of Colorado Board of Regents who are in the audience this evening, Steve Bosley and Stephen Ludwig. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your support for the center. We are delighted to have you here this evening. Our speaker this evening is George Yancey. He is a professor of sociology at the University of North Texas, where he has served on the faculty since 1999. Specializing in issues dealing with race, religion, and political ideology and the academy, he earned his PhD in sociology from the University of Texas in 1995, although we won't hold that against him. He has published in some of the most important peer-reviewed journals in his discipline, including American Sociological Review, Social Science Quarterly, Journal of Comparative Family Studies, Sociological Perspectives, Journal of Black Studies, Journal of Family Studies, the Sociological Quarterly, Journal of Comparative Family Studies, as well as the Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion. Professor Yancey is the author of over a dozen books, including Compromising Scholarship, Religious and Political Bias in American Higher Education, published by Baylor University Press, Transcending Racial Barriers, which he co-authored with Michael Emerson, published by Oxford University Press, Neither Jew Nor Gentile, Exploring Issues of Racial Diversity on Protestant College Campuses, also published by Oxford, and most recently, Hostile Environment, Understanding and Responding to Anti-Christian Bias. The title of Professor Yancey's talk, Conservatives in Academia, Is There Bias Against Them? Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor George.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for dragging me out of hot Texas to beautiful Colorado. Someone was saying that, it's hot here. We had a hot summer, and I think someone said, yeah, it got all the way up to 86 degrees. And what we call that in Texas is fall. We're like, oh, man, it's only 86 degrees. So thank you for having me up here. This is a very interesting topic for me. I don't consider myself a conservative. I consider myself a non-leftist. And so in many ways, while I do have some issues I'm quite conservative on, other issues I'm not. Studying, though, the topic of conservatives and bias, I think is a fascinating one. Because I'm not a leftist, I think gives me an insight into what bias might look like. So in order to look at this, I hit the wrong button.
This is a
do I hit enter? Okay. Yeah, I think I got it. Okay. Okay, so to start off with, when we use the word conservative, what do we mean? Well, we have to understand there's different types of conservatives. And as I look into this, it's quite interesting. And this is going to be very important as we look at a lot of the data that we're going to, and research we're going to look at. First off, there's economic conservatives, or called movement conservatism. And these are individuals, their main concern is economics, government size, regulation. This is the individuals. I kind of think that the Tea Party kind of started off with more movement conservatism and then began to take on other types. There's foreign policy conservatives, neocons, perhaps a more aggressive foreign policy, military interests, these sort of things. And then finally, there's social conservatives, or you may say that are the religious right. Social issues, abortion, homosexuality, these sort of things are very important to them. Conservatives talk about having these three different legs, a three-legged stool that it's built upon. And these are, am I in the way? I think I'm in the way a little bit, am I? I'm sorry. People were like trying to look. You all were giving that look of, your father did not make a glassmaker, so I'll be over here a little bit then. Conservatives talk about this being three legs of the stool. And of course, many conservatives, they're movement conservatives, neoconservatives, and religious right. Some focus on one or the other. But conservatism is something that is multifaceted. And understanding that, when we ask the question, is there a bias against conservatives, sometimes the answer may be, what type of conservatives are you talking about? And I'll come back to that when we get there. So, one of the reasons why I'm on this topic is because of research that I did about 5 years ago in a book called Compromising Scholarship. In this research, I found 1,441 respondents from 9 different disciplines. I'll show you those disciplines in a few minutes. The respondents were asked about collegiality and their attitudes towards prospective job candidates. The survey was designed to allow 28.7% of the respondents to indicate no bias. In other words, I designed the survey so the person could absolutely show absolutely no bias whatsoever to any sort of job candidate. It was not what we call a forced choice type of survey, where they would have to show some sort of bias. So here's the main question at stake. Assume that your faculty hired a new professor. Below is a list of possible characteristics of this new hire. Many of them are characteristics that you cannot directly inquire of prospective candidates. However, if you're able to learn these characteristics about a candidate, will that make you more or less likely to support their hire? Please rate your attitude on a scale in which 1 indicates that the characteristics greatly damages your support to hire the candidate. 4 is that the characteristics does not make a difference, and that's how you can show no bias. 4 doesn't make a difference. And 7 indicates that the characteristics greatly enhances your support to hire the candidate. So about 28% of my respondents said 4 all the way down. That's what I meant they had no bias whatsoever. And then if you don't understand the characteristics, please indicate with non-applicable in case, I don't even understand what this sort of person is. I want to give people an out that way. So I designed the survey so that people would have outs. It's not a sort of gotcha survey. Well, what is characteristics then? Well, these are the characteristics I asked about. I believe 26 of them I asked, if you find out that the person is a Democrat, are you going to be more willing to hire them or less willing to hire them? Republican, Green Party, Libertarian, so forth and so on. And so you can sort of see all the different characteristics that, I kind of for the heck of it threw in hunter and vegetarian. It didn't really matter. No one cared. And there were some of these no one really cared about, other ones they didn't care about either. Others they cared about some, and I'm going to show you that. And which disciplines? Well, you see 10, but actually the language I split into non-English and English because the people were different. The responses were different enough. But you can see the rest are political science, anthropology, history, physics, chemistry, experimental biology, philosophy, the languages, and sociology. Now, I'd like to say that I picked these disciplines because I had a very scholarly, academic, solid reason for these 10 disciplines. The fact of the matter was, these were the directories I could get my hands on. So, it was more practical than I was strategic about it. But I picked sciences and humanities. Obviously, we're not looking at, say, engineering or business or the arts. So we're looking at a limited scope in academia, but we're looking at the sciences and the humanities. Okay, so that's basically how I set my survey. So let's see what happens. First, I selected these groups for reasons you're about to see. Let's look at the fundamentalists, the evangelicals, NRA members, Republicans, Muslims, atheists, ACO members, and Democrats among all academics. This is the percentage of people who say that if I find out that you're one of these groups, it damages my willingness to hire you. And this is enhances. First thing, academics will damage you more than they will enhance you. You know, I guess we're more negative that way. Now, clearly the group that academics want to hire the least are the fundamentalists. More than half of them say, if I find out you're a fundamentalist, I'm less willing to hire you. The second group are evangelicals. And then that's followed by NRA. You can see the Republicans, you know, just general Republicans is about 23, 24%. And then when it comes to the groups that people talk about having facing discrimination in larger society, we find that it's not the case in academia. Muslims, atheists, and then you can see as far as lack of bias against ACLU members and Democrats. On the enhances, like I said, most of the time it does not enhance your opportunity unless you're a Democrat or ACLU member. But about 1 out of 5 academics say, we're more willing to hire you if you are a member of one of those two groups. And then the others are pretty negligible. So right off we see, now understand the question is, if you find out about this person, you know, are you more or less willing to hire them? Factors that you're not supposed to use in hiring someone. And over half the academics say yes, well, let's go and hire a group because of their religious beliefs. And then it goes lower from that on. And even in the Republicans, it's more than 1 out of 5 say yes, we're less willing to hire you. Now, it's also important to look at how less willing they are to hire you. So here, you know, because I asked them extremely, moderately, or slightly willing, you know, unwilling to hire you. So we can see here that once again, when it comes to extremely damages your chances of getting hired, about 10% say fundamentalists. You know, if I find you're a fundamentalist, I'm extremely damages my ability willing to hire you. And then about 5% for evangelicals and NRA members. And you can see with the evangelicals, even though they're low here, they're, being evangelical is slightly damages much more than the other two. So we can see that some of the unwillingness to hire is not that great. The slightly damaged, I like to think about it this way. If you are competing with someone with a job, and you are right where they are, something like this can push you over the edge. So, you know, if you're much better than they are, you know, if you have publications in the best of journals and they have only a couple, then yeah, slightly damaged probably isn't going to stop you. But a lot of times on job markets, we get 2 candidates, and you know, I've been on committees where 1 vote decided who we hired. In that sort of situation, then obviously that slightly damage would affect who got that last vote. Sometimes when I present this work, some people... They can't. And you're jumping right where I'm going. If they knew. And what's changed from when I did this is the internet. Because what's happened is that some people, because I've actually seen this happen, some people get on the internet and you can find out about people. Now, people can, and my suggestion to someone who's in a category that is not favorable should hide those characteristics. But then that becomes an additional burden that your fundamentalist, evangelical, NRA member, Republican has that the atheist and Democrat does not have. So, you know, and also, I mean, I know of a colleague of mine who went on the job market. She went to she was brought in for an interview. I think it was somewhere in southern Idaho. And southern Idaho has a large Mormon population. And so when they took her out to dinner, they asked her, would you like to have coffee or tea? Well, if you know anything about Mormons, you know that Mormons cannot drink caffeine. And for her to say, you know, it was sort of, she was not a Mormon, so it doesn't really matter to her, but she recognized it as a way of sort of quietly screening, is she a Mormon or not, or how serious a Mormon is she. So, you know, these things, even though we're not supposed to ask, those who've been around a while know that sometimes people do get a little bit nosy. And this is, you know, is there a bias? And if people say, well, if I find out, unless I like to hire you, to me is evidence that, yeah, there does appear to be a bias. I wrote this down by the natural sciences, social sciences, and humanities. And, you know, one thing that jumps out here is that when it comes to being biased, that the social sciences and humanities are about the same level. You can see that the natural sciences, though, are a little bit lower, especially for Republicans, compared to the social sciences and humanities. This really comports to some of the research out there that shows that when it comes to political makeup, there's less skew in the natural sciences as opposed to the social sciences and humanities. And then one final chart, and then I'll save you for more charts. Okay, I wanted to concentrate, because this is about you know, political bias. I want to concentrate on the Republicans. So I just looked at the Republicans as far as natural science, social science, and humanities, and then I broke it down by slightly damaged, moderately, and extremely. And you can see that for in the natural sciences, your best case scenario if you're a Republican is to be in the natural sciences, because there's very little extremely damage there. But even in the natural sciences, about 1 out of 10, at least slightly damages your chances of being hired if they find out that you are a Republican. So, you know, that's just some of the data that I found when I went through and did this survey, which to me confirmed that yes, there is a bias in academia. Up until that point, everything that I'd seen was anecdotal, not systematic. But since then, I've seen other research that sort of confirms some of my findings. I forgot this one. But I told you I'd spray you for many more tables. So, for example, Inbar and Lammers came out in 2016 with a study. They studied political diversity among social psychologists. Well, they found out that only 6% of social psychologists are moderates, and only 4% are conservative. Now, that in itself is not evidence of bias, because you know, there could be a self-selection effect. They also found out that the social psychologists are more liberal on social issues than economic or foreign policy issues. So this tells you that the religious right, they're less likely to be a part of, but they might be part of movement conservatism or neoconservatism. And then they asked them this question, are they willing to discriminate against political conservatives when reviewing papers, grant proposals, and in hiring? And about 3/4 of them say that they are willing to discriminate against political conservatives when reviewing papers, grant proposals, and in hiring of them. So you know, this reinforces some of my findings. What they did, though, is they didn't just look at hiring. They also looked at review of papers and grant proposals. Okay, Rothman and Lichner assessed the occupational status of academics. Found that academics who are social conservative have lower status academic positions. They actually looked at those that were conservative as far as foreign policy and economics, and they didn't find very much of a difference. This was upheld after demographic controls and controls for productivity. So what could have happened is that the social conservatives did not publish or did not, do what academics are supposed to do, didn't teach the classes well. But they controlled for that, and they controlled for other factors. And even after those controls, they found that social conservatives assessed they had lower levels of occupational status. And then as far as a case study, some of you may or may not have heard of Mike Adams, a criminologist at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, former atheist who became a Christian, columns at town hall, so, he's out there. There's no mistaking of his political and religious beliefs. He was denied promotion for professor because of his town hall writings. This one went to a court case, and he won in the Eastern District Court of North Carolina. In that case, there was a paper trail where there were some professors on committee saying, we can't promote him for professor. Look at the stuff he writes on town hall. So, this is not systematic, but sometimes when we look at the data, we forget that real situations happen, real people can be affected. So the Mike Adams case is a reminder that, that there are consequences for some of these bias that come out. Okay, now one of the things that we can see from here is there is a general bias against Republicans or conservatives, however you want to put it, but it's more strongly pronounced on the religious right leg of that three-leg table than the other two. So my question is, why is that? In some research I'm about to describe to you, this is one of many quotes that I could have pulled out. This one's from a male biology professor who says, "I'm a rationalist and believe society is not served by irrationality." This is in response to questions about religious individuals. So why social conservatives are the worst is this sort of section of the talk. Why is it that that's the wing that, while we do see some bias elsewhere, that is where it's the strongest? Well, this is research I did with two other colleagues, Sam Reamer and Jake O'Connell. What we did was we surveyed academics across a wide spectrum of disciplines, and this, we got our academics from a wider spectrum because it wasn't a probability sample, but it was a sample of all academics. We asked them to rank fundamentalists, evangelicals, and mainline Protestants. And then we gave open-ended questions as why they provided those rankings, the definitions of each group. We asked them to define these groups, and how each group differed from one another. And at this point, I was curious as to how academics saw all three of these groups. And what was their perception. And I think this gives us insight as to why social conservatives are the group that is lowest on the totem pole. First, intolerant. Some of the comments that some of the academics made talk about especially evangelicals or fundamentalists as intolerant, extremely hypocritical, intolerant, biased against disadvantaged people in the United States, extremely conservative and intolerant of other social choices, preoccupied with sex and sexual outcomes. Their opinions often seem extremist, and they often appear intolerant of other people's ideas. They do not seem to want to engage critically with important questions. They can sometimes be disruptive and intolerant on the campus, especially in the settings of religious diversity. I've seen them proselytize in the cafeteria and in other gathering places. So this notion of intolerance, the notion of a narrow-mindedness, is one of the characteristics that some of these individuals see among social conservatives. Want to take over society. Living in the Bible Belt, where fundamentalist Protestants have placed an egregious constitutional amendment on our May 8th election primary ballot to further ban gay marriage and all domestic legal unions, not between a man and a woman, I'm enraged at their attempt to build a literalist conservative theocracy. And that's the part that I want to show. I mean, the other complaints, is, you'll find that a lot, but the word theocracy is a word that comes up more than one would think. They're rooting the promise of this country. We're replacing a free society with, once again, a theocracy. So there's this notion of an intolerance to take over society. But this may be more in line of why you don't want to hire them. Irrationality or stupid. A belief system based on resistance to logic and information, intolerance of others. They are totally irrational and filled with hatred towards anyone who does not share their views. Sort of like a Christian Al-Qaeda. The belief in biblical literalism results in irrational, anti-science viewpoints. So when we're thinking about hiring someone, if you have these images of these individuals as intolerant, as seeking to take over the country, and irrational, stupid, that's not someone that I want to work with. But these are some of the attitudes that some of the academics have as far as towards social conservatives. And then finally, anti-science. Here in the U.S., fundamentalists tend to be anti-rational, anti-science. Right-wing on social, economic, and military issues, somehow justifying their beliefs with the Bible, do not generally believe in evolution, but rather creation. And I didn't have any information for that person, unfortunately. As an evolutionary biologist, I dislike the opinions on science education that sometimes come out of that tradition. There is this sort of perception that science and religion must always be in conflict with one another. It's a perception that some Christians have, and it's a perception that some academics have as well. And so, once again, we're talking about hiring people for a scientific position. If you believe people to come from a group that is that is against science, then you're not likely to want to hire them. So that too becomes a problem. So I put these quotations up here, and obviously not every, it should go without saying, not every respondent, has these sort of attitudes. We calculated probably, it wasn't exact as far as we didn't have the sort of exact quantitative measures we would like, but we calculated probably about 40% of our respondents have somewhat similar attitudes. Obviously not exactly on, but somewhat similar, what we call hostile attitudes towards conservative Protestants. If you're in a search committee, and if 40% of the people have a hostile attitude, and your committee say 5 people, if you're already down 2 people, you're at a big disadvantage as far as getting that position. If you're being considered for a grant, and 1 out of 3 of the people assisting the grant has attitudes like this, and they know that your work may pertain to something along this nature, you're at a disadvantage. These are some of the things that show the sort of biases that are there. I do have other research that looks at, not necessarily academics, but I do ask the question comparing Republicans in general to Christians. And even in that work, there's the notion that the Christians are less rational and the Republicans are more evil in a sort of conniving sense. It was with progressives. But the notion that the religious right does not engage in rationality and rational thinking, that is a huge barrier towards the bias that is there. So now, when we talk about bias in academia, I've been talking about bias among professors. I do want to touch on some research out there on Christian students, because students who maybe, and the research is on Christian students, even though I'm talking about the religious right, because that's where the research is at. we often forget that the biases in academia may influence students as well. Gunn and Zinner, now it's anecdotal accounts, but of religious discrimination in the selection of medical students. They looked at, when people were assessing students, they looked at their actual assessment, and they saw that if the religion of the student came out, that it had a negative impact on whether or not they were willing to let that student come into their program. Higher and Higher found students had less sympathy for anti-Christian discrimination than anti-black racism and sexism. They also surveyed the Christian students themselves, and who talked about some of the anti-Christian discrimination that they perceived on campus. And they found that the discomfort they had was similar to the discomfort that people of color and women would have on these other issues. So Schultz interviewed Christian students who indicated they see themselves as a chilly atmosphere on college campuses. So some students are picking up some of these cues that I think that's out there. And Rissler and Hodge, perceptions of whether social workers are ethically competent is lower for those with conservative theological orientation. And in this study, I believe that they sent out an audit. So they sent out half of them a fake. It was a survey. They were giving them a survey and say, hey, how would you assess the social worker? And half of them were conservative theologically, and half of them were not. And they found out that, controlling everything else, if they had a conservative theological orientation, they're more likely to find them as ethically, the compliance was lower for those with conservative theological orientation. So there is an effect that I think, even though the research has been on academics, professors, there is an effect that comes down into the students. I would like to see even more research done on that aspect of it, more systematic research, but for right now, this is what we have to work with. So, in conclusion, looking at my work and the work of others, I think there is strong evidence of political bias in academia. Differential treatment of conservatives is tied to such a bias. I think that there is enough evidence that we do see that there is a differential treatment of conservatives, and I think it comes from that bias. I argue that all types of conservatives face academic prejudice, but the bias is strongest against social conservatives or the religious right. So, when we looked at the original, about 20% say, well, if you're a Republican, I'm willing to hire you. But if you're an evangelical, if you're a fundamentalist, that goes up 10, 20%. So that's where the bias is the strongest. And the bias is tied to stereotypes about the moral, intellectual fitness of social conservatives. So the quotes I was showing you, showing that there's this perception that they are not intellectually fit, that they're not morally, they're intolerant, and I think that is a tie to the bias. But there's really not been a lot of study on this per se, and so it'll be interesting to see if we get more research and see where this bias might be coming from. And with that, I'll take some questions.
All right, so let's see. We've got lots of questions. I'll begin with Michael. So here.
Right, thank you. Okay, so let me be clear. So that I'm a professor in biology. I learned that an applicant rejects the theory of evolution. Suppose I'm a professor in biology. Those are good reasons for. If I learn instead that the applicant is a Okay, if I learn that the applicant is a fundamentalist, then I have a pretty good reason for thinking they think the Earth is not, X billion years old, right? And I have a pretty good reason for thinking that they reject the theory of evolution in favor of special creation, right? So I don't see why it's an unacceptable form of bias to reject people with those sorts of views, position in biology or...
Well, my pushback would be to equal fundamentalists with a non-religious belief is, I don't think it's fair to the person who is a fundamentalist, because there is, within fundamentalism, there is talk of, young earth creationism, but there's also talk of old earth creationism, and which is, while it doesn't reject evolution, it just says, God started the whole process, which would not contradict anything as far as biology. So to know a person's a fundamentalist gives you some information, but does not give you complete information. And just as to know a person is almost any social group gives you some information, but not complete information. So that's where I get uncomfortable saying, well, I know this person's a fundamentalist, therefore, I know that they believe this, which they may or they may not believe.
The vast majority do, right? And I would say if
How do you know the vast majority
the creation story in Genesis 1, or a special creation, if you read this creation story that starts a bit on in Genesis 2, very clear counter creation. First, Adam is created, dust of the earth, and Eve is heaven, right?
Yeah.
That's
stories.
Hey, look,
Just simply claim.
finish what I'm saying without interrupting. Okay, well, the biblical story is incompatible with the theory of evolution, is my point.
Gentlemen in the...
So can you go back to your conclusion page?
I'll try.
So based on a survey of 1,440 some odd professors at I'm not sure which institutions, and then a survey of 465 professors, I'm not sure at which institutions, but included a medical campus. I was not convinced by your presentation. I think there's evidence that requires more research, that there might be strong political bias. I think your conclusions are way overblown from the research that you presented. And I think there is probably, if we're talking about the center of Western civilization and having a dialogue, this is a dialogue, it's like, I would want a stronger case for you to make. You've looked at some very thin things and made some very dramatic conclusions that you've presented tonight based on what I think is rather limited evidence.
So if I did a survey, a national survey, and I found about 50% of the academics say that they're less willing to hire
At a
someone.
sample size of 1,400 in one, and then 465 of another.
So you think my sample size is too small?
Wait, it's too small. For the vast majority.
The power analysis conducted showed that this sample size is not too small. If you have a result of 50% of the people saying they're less willing to hire someone because they are...
I would think that your research points that further investigation needs to be had. I'm not disputing what you found. But some of the conclusions that you're making are saying this is so. And so I'm just not, and maybe I just need to go back to statistics.
Let me finish. If there was a survey of 1,400 academics and over half stated that they're less willing to hire someone because they're black, would that be something that we would say, there's probably a bias against blacks?
Probably, of course. And which I said...
Say that here.
But you don't say probably. You say this is so. All types of conservative face academic prejudice. 1,400, again, it's a very small, and 465, it's a very small sample size. Again, I would suggest that you might be onto something. I'm not arguing about your findings. I'm just saying you're stating it as fact when I think more research needs to be done.
In social sciences, there's hardly any time you can ever say something is completely fact. We can't prove things like we can prove mathematics and logic. I can tell you that people are making claims about bias against other groups on a lot less than what I'm showing.
Okay, so I'm not a part of that conversation. I'm a part of this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Just tonight. And so I can't argue what we're not talking about.
okay. Well, so what I'm saying is, if you're asking for absolute proof, we're never going to get
No,
there.
what I'm suggesting is what you've presented tonight to my ears, because I'm not a conservative, nor am I a screaming liberal,
Yeah.
is interesting, but the conservatives in the room are like, yep, this is right because this is my bias, and the people on the left would go, no, that's not right because that's my bias, so that means there's more work to be done.
I'm not against more work being done. I think I've stated it as strong as I think it could be stated at this point. I can't state that, I can't state an absolute because we don't ever do that in social sciences. But I'm just putting this in the context of if we had any other characteristic there, what would be done? And I think people would say, yes, that there is a bias. That's where I would come from on that.
This gentleman, and then.
Thank you for coming tonight. This isn't a question, it's a comment. It struck me that the terms that were being used, ignorance, irrationality, intolerance, and wanting to take over society, could just as easily be applied to the people that were responding as they could to the talking about.
Yeah, and obviously something like this, I'm not saying that there aren't some people out there who are conservative, who are not intolerant and stuff like that. It's not even an attempt to say are conservatives more intolerant than progressives. I'm not even entering that question. I just think that it locates a stereotype that then can be used to justify the actions that are there.
Many hands, so few microphones. So I have to have a student. I assume you're okay.
Again, thank you for coming. I wonder, since we're on a public institution here, if you noticed any sort of difference between private and public institutions, because I think private institutions probably have a little bit more ability and justification to make some sort of bias based off of their private leanings. So, but on a public institution, you would see that a lot less. I would assume. Did you notice any of that?
Well, remember correctly, I did run against public and private, and here the numbers in the private was too small. I didn't have a lot of statistical power. Probably I did run against private Christian institutions and others, and there's more of a bias on a religious sense in that sense. But other than that, I really couldn't see much of a difference, but I'm hesitant to really bring that out because that is a case where I don't have the numbers to have the statistical power.
All right. This gentleman.
I'm trying to formulate this question. Your data represents hypotheticals. People are responding to an if question. Mm-hmm. And you conclude a reality that, yes, there is bias. Have you done any research on actual hiring decisions, on actual situations that would not hypothetical but real?
Yeah, there's certain ethical problems of doing a research like that, like when you're actually going to hire someone because, you don't want to if someone's actually going to hire someone, you don't want to mess around with the hiring process. Mike Adams' case is a case where legally they found that there was bias. There are other cases I know that were settled out of court. Those are anecdotal. Why I did what I did was before I was reading about cases of bias, but they're all anecdotal, and I wanted to see is there anything systematic to that. Now, it's true. We're looking at experimental design, and one of the fallacies of problems with experimental design is that it's not the real world what happens in the real world. I've not seen any evidence that this doesn't happen in the real world. I mean, I see a lot of anecdotes that reinforce this, but I can't, I don't know how to design a survey where we can actually do this, where there's a real job at stake, and you'll have these two candidates, and one is one, one's the other. I don't see how. I would love to do that. I just don't see how. That's the sort of research that we can't do because we have to do sort of pseudo-random sample that we do in the social sciences. There are ethical problems with But I'm open to ideas if someone has an idea on how you could do it ethically and not get fired.
It just seems to me that to make conclusions about reality based on hypothetical questions.
But it's not just the hypothetical. It's also anecdotal evidence. There's also anecdotal evidence that we're seeing. We also see here's a real world thing. The Rothman and Lichner stuff. That is real world. That is where social conservatives are in lower job status than they would be normally after controlling for everything. So what I'm saying is the weight of the different, you have my research, you have that research, you have anecdotal evidence. The weight of that, to me, is pretty powerful. So if you want to look at any one of them and say, well, I can explain this one away, that's one thing. But to explain all of them away is where I come back. Once again, we can't prove it, but to me, the evidence is pretty strong.
Thanks for the talk. I think based on my moderate knowledge of statistics, your sample size is really large, so that's great. I'm wondering if your sample size is large enough to look at the following. For the people I wonder if you can make a comparison. Look at the people who expressed preference for Democrats and how biased they were against Republicans, and compare that to the people who expressed a preference for Republicans and look at how biased they were against Democrats.
That's interesting. I may go home and take a look at that. I've not, so I have no answer. I mean, good question.
I want to be accused of bias.
First female question. Woo. So since you've done this research and going back to the questions of bias against Christian students, if you had the resources, are there any specific questions you would want to explore focusing on bias against Christian students or Republican students?
If I had the resources, if someone says, hey, here's a couple $1 million, do what you want. I go to Hawaii. No. Now, I would try to do a probability sampling of students across the whole country, and then use measures for religiosity, and then design the survey to ask questions about their perception on campus. And that doesn't show proof bias, but that shows, are there certain groups, and it may not, we may find that other groups are more uncomfortable than Christian students are, or Republicans are. But I would like to know, because obviously that's not been done yet, not in a systematic probability sampling way that I would like to see it done. But it probably would cost a couple $1 billion. So unfortunately, my wife does not want me to spend my money on it.
Oh, look, we've got about 10 more minutes for questions, but before you leave, I want you to be on the email list of this center. I've got these forms that I neglected to pass out before the question and answer period. This is indeed my first rodeo. So if you do that, that would be wonderful. This gentleman has a question.
So I'm wondering if you were as surprised as I was that academics are willing to openly treat people differently based on their political orientation, and I'm wondering how you explain that, I guess. In other words, as this gentleman was suggesting, it might be that people just don't like people like them, and it doesn't matter. That bias could go in both directions. Republicans don't like Democrats, and Democrats don't like Republicans, and there's discrimination in both directions. And we would just see more discrimination against Republicans because most academics are left-leaning. But I'm wondering if, in other words, the respondents are just using these as cues for other information. In other words, as this gentleman was suggesting, if someone's a fundamentalist, I take that as someone might take that as a cue about their their beliefs about evolution, or if someone is a Republican, someone might take that as an indication of other characteristics about them, or is there a way that you could disentangle, in other words, whether it's overt political discrimination per se versus some sort of cue that the respondent is taking that suggests some other trait about the individual that they think would be a fair basis on which to make a treat them differently. In other words, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I do know that social psychology research has shown that we do use cues and we make assessments of people. And so especially if we don't know a lot of people that way in our lives. So if you don't have very many Republican friends and you find someone's a Republican, then you're probably making cues based on stereotypes you have of Republicans, and vice versa, obviously. And I tend to think that my personal belief is that this is not shaped by political ideology. In other words, I think people are equally willing to do that, no matter what their political ideology is. Was I surprised by how much? Maybe a little bit, but here's what really surprised me. Because I'm in sociology, I know that there are Christian sociologist organizations in my field. I did not know of any, in fact, I still don't know of any Republican sociology organizations. I heard there's a Republican sociologist once. You know, I don't know where he is now. So I thought there'd be more bias against Republicans than against Christians. So I was surprised that was the other way around. I thought there'd be bias. I thought there'd be more against Republicans than Christians. It actually was the other way around. That got me thinking about more other issues and doing some other research to dig out some of the nuances that might be behind it.
Yes, my experience, it goes even found out the bias. It's not just in hiring grants or scholarships. I'll tell you an example. This is somebody who, somebody that a humanities field, I won't. And he was a liberal when he started, and everything was fine. And over some years, he became more conservative. He wasn't so much socially conservative. He wasn't an evangelical or fundamentalist, but he considered himself more conservative. And the people in the department who had been close friends were not anymore. They made the atmosphere uncomfortable for him. And he finally had to retire early because it just wasn't a nice place to work anymore. I would suspect that the bias goes much farther than what.
Quite some time. So.
Thank you for coming. My question is, in your study and looking at other people's studies about this topic, have you found a trend of this bias increasing or decreasing over time, and where do you think this is going in the future?
There's not enough data to make a longitudinal assessment at this point, so I can't say whether it's increasing or decreasing. If I was to guess, I would guess it increased, but it would be just a guess. And I don't have any data to back up my guess, and so I would just leave it at that. Where it's going, once again, without any longitudinal data, it's hard for me to say, I think it's going here. So I'm going to hold off from where I can go on that because I don't have any basis for it.
All right.
I just wanted to make a point about 1,400 sample size, but where the statistical significance of difference is so great, the FDA, in the particular case that he pointed out, would approve that drug within a month rather than 2 or 3 years, because the statistical significance is 2 sigma to 3 sigma, for those of you who know statistics. So it is, if the numbers were just small differences, the 1,400 would not be as significant. When the differences are extremely great, The significance in terms of statistical and science now goes way up, and I would estimate this from my background between 2 and 3 sigma, which is about 2 nines and 3 nines in a row. So that's my point.
Oh, okay. Got 2 more questions. We've got enough time for.
Why did you exclude faculty from professional schools, law, engineering, business, and the like?
I wanted to focus in on sciences and humanities. You know, I didn't feel like I had the time or expenses, because I did have to use some of my research money to purchase the directories and to hire people to do it. I actually followed up this with 2 business disciplines, accounting and marketing, and it should come out in a chapter in a year or 2, and really quite different results. So I do think that, you know, that's why, you know, I really talk about more the sciences as far as this particular type of bias. I suspect there is less bias against Republicans in the businesses. I don't know. I mean, Frank can tell more about the law or anything like that, but I'm not sure about the law whether there would be or not. But I do know in business there would be a lot less bias. Once again, if I had unlimited resources, I'd be a dangerous man.
All right, this is our final question.
Thank you for coming out tonight. So, did you provide a questionnaire to the participants before distributing your survey to them?
Which one?
So, the participants, the ones that filled out your survey, did you provide a questionnaire to them about their identifiers, such as Republican or Muslim or vegetarian?
You mean did I ask them about that?
Yeah, or
no,
do you think that would be more of like a confound that could get in the way of their authentic answers?
Well, yeah, one of the reasons why I did not ask them that, I didn't ask them about their religion or their politics, or I asked them about their age, and that was on there. And one of the reasons why is kind of what you said. I didn't want to prime an answer. It's like if you're a Republican, you're a Republican, now you're asked to assess, well, how likely are you to hire a Democrat? That may make you more primed to say I'm less likely because I'm a Republican. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to, but I did not. And also, I wanted to keep the survey. You know, the survey already took about 20 minutes. I didn't want to add 5 more minutes because then you start losing numbers. So, it would be good information to have, but for those reasons, I did not include it.
All right. Well, join me in thanking Professor Yancey for his presentation. Outside there'll be some snacks for reception, and if you thought this was stimulating, tomorrow at 4 p.m. there's going to be a panel discussion with Joshua Dunn, who just published yeah, that's me and the Pope. He's using my laptop. That's my screensaver. So tomorrow, Joshua Dunn, who just came out with a book called Passing on the Right, who actually has a slightly different take on some of this data than Professor Yancey. And so we also have David Brown from CU, Boulder. So you'll get, I think, a different sort of exchange. But thank you so much, George, for coming, and we look forward to hanging out with you in the reception. Thank you.